something to say.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this episode of Project Shadow. My name's Charlie. You might know me better as sci-fi fantasy writer C.E. Dorset, or that really annoyed person on Twitter who needs to get better about tweeting about things to make them happy. Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, hasn't it? I know, because I see a lot of y'all's tweets, and yeah. But today we're going to talk about the end of the world. That'll be happy, right? I don't know. That'll be different. So, we have finished watching Umbrella Academy, and the first thing I have to say about it, and this is like the weirdest non-spoilery thing that I could ever say about any piece of media that I ever watched, it actually made me finally like a song by Gerard Way, which I'm shocked by. Like, I didn't even realize it was him. And, like, I'm having more weirdness in my head over that than the show itself. So, if you don't know, Gerard Way was the lead singer for a band called My Chemical Romance, which was, kind of a thing, and not really a band that I actually liked. And he went on and he wrote Umbrella Academy, which is a series of graphic novels. I think they said that they're eventually heading towards 8 of them, and they're currently publishing the 3rd one or something like that. Don't know, don't read the comics, so bear that in mind with everything that I'm about to say here. But twice within the series, you will hear a really cool cover of Hazy Shade of Winter, and that's Gerard Way. That's him. He did that. I've never liked a song by My Chemical Romance. I didn't know that it was possible for me to like a song by him. Granted, he's cheating because that's a great song, but still. Credit where credit's due. Great cover, good song. Hey, I'm down for that. I'm not going to do too much plot talk before we get into spoilers, just because, we're going to get into so many spoilers today. But overall, and mind you, I have not read the comics. I do not plan to read the comics. I don't know how it compares to the comics, except for I've heard some people say things that I don't know. Some people were upset, some people weren't. It's a story based on comics, so they're gonna, there will be people on all sides. But I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I mean, it kind of cheated in that, there's a talking chimpanzee who, by the way, rendered awesomely. And they cheated. I found out that they cheated. And they cheated in the greatest possible way. Netflix hired the company that did the special effects for the Planet of the Apes movies to do Pogo. So they cheated in such a wonderful way. They're like, hey, you guys do really good talking monkeys and apes. Can you do one of those for us? Brilliant thing to do. He looks so real. He looks so part of the scene that, honestly, and I don't know how they filmed the actual scenes, I started wondering how much of it was actually somebody in a costume with a CG'd face somehow perfectly put on. Like, they did a really good job with Pogo, and that was amazing. They also had Ellen Page in it, and that's a little bit of a weakness for me. So, those two things being considered... Oh, and of course, how can we forget the guy who played Dickon Tarley? That is just fun to say, because it sounds like you're making fun of somebody, but you're not, because his character's name was Dickon. Yeah. The brother of Samwell Tarly from Game of Thrones, who got kind of roasted by Daenerys, because his dad's a... Oh, how can I say this politically correctly? A Dickon? Anyway. Yeah, so he's in it. I recognized a couple of the other people too, but all in all, good cast. I enjoyed the series a lot. Mary J. Blige was amazing in this. I've seen her in some movies before, did not think of her as a comedic actress, or an action actress, or I mean, the idea of Mary J. Blige playing a contract killer from time. I can't really say the future because I don't know where they get all of their time agents from. But yeah, did not expect that. Did not expect to enjoy that as much as I did. Really liked her. All in all, I really enjoyed the show. But we're going to be talking about it in a way that I haven't heard people talking about today because it's the one thing that just like the show made me mad in one specific way. It's basically the same plot as Titans on the DC Universe app. Down to color, tone, similar plot points, similar characters, but it's actually good. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, if you haven't seen either Titans on the DC Universe app or The Umbrella Academy on Netflix, and you do not want spoilers, go watch them, come back, listen to the episode, and tell me what you think. Spoilers shall be coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go. Yeah, these are the same show. They're the same show. If you hadn't told me that this was based on a comic that came out quite some time ago, I would have felt like Netflix just kind of looked over at what DC was doing and went, that's not how you do that. Rewrote it and released it as their own thing. I mean, down to the characters. Starfire in Titans has such a similar story arc to Vanya, that she doesn't know her past, she doesn't know where she's coming from, she's kind of a hero through most of the series until she turns into a villain who helps bring about the apocalypse. I mean, that's the same story. And we can go through the characters one by one from, number 5 is basically Jason Todd, who just shows up and creates random acts of mayhem and violence. We have, number 1, Luther, who's basically Dick Grayson, who is all manner of messed up and touched in the head because Bruce Wayne's a jerk. Which, by the way, was a joke I started making really early watching the show, just as a bad joke, because it was kind of reminding me of Dick Grayson, but oh my goodness, Batman's is a jerk. And that's like the theme of Titans and the theme of this show, except for their Batman is a rich, eccentric billionaire with a monocle who also commits suicide. But that's a whole different thing. And here's where the numbering and I start getting lost, because, oh my goodness, shows that use numbers for names just drive me crazy. Was it number 6? The one who could talk to the dead? That's Raven. That's Raven's storyline all the way through, with the exception... Was it 4? I'm debating between... I don't know. The dude with the drug problem. Brian is in the background raising his hand going 4, if you want to know why I'm laughing. No, yeah, that's right. 6 was the one with the weird Cthulhu monsters. But... Okay, so even that's Raven, because he ends up at the end summoning the spirit that brings the Eldritch horrors into the world. Granted, he's still a hero about it, and he isn't the one that brings about the apocalypse, because Vanya does, but his character arc is basically Raven's character arc, just with a lot more drugs. A lot more drugs. Like... my teenage years full of drugs. Just insane. And that's... Beast Boy? Yeah. Take your pick. That could be either your lovely famous girl who doesn't seem to have problems, but secretly does because she's done things in her family that she just can't take back. Yeah, that's basically Beast Boy's story. Or we could go with the... I'm going to stop. The characters line up. The plot lines up. Why is it fun? Oh, yeah, because they allowed it to be. Yeah. Yeah, it's a dark, depressing show. The show starts basically with here are some orphans, here's some freaky things that happen. They all get, brought together by this crazy billionaire guy. Oh, yeah, and then he dies, and everybody comes back, and everybody has problems because dad's a jerk, and everybody else is a jerk, and argue, 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 moan, 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 wah, wah, life's hard. That should have been morose. That should have been a downer. But you know what? They let characters have. This is going to shock you for a comic book story, especially if you work for DC. They let the characters have a sense of humor. Yeah, a sense of humor. They can tell jokes. They can be funny either intentionally or accidentally, because some of them are accidentally funny about some of the things that they do. They have a robot mom who is just hilarious. Mainly because, after having watched Three Below, which, again, if you haven't seen it, Nick Offerman is an alien killing machine. What more do you need? Go watch it. It's fun. Anywho, I kept waiting for her to go like Robot Samurai, like their robot mom can, because I don't know, they reminded me a lot of each other. And this is a show that could have done so many things badly, because one of the things that was such a risk in the show is its use of music, and I'm going to talk about that more after the break. But the addition of pop music that you recognize, that you know the words to, even if they are covers, some originals, that helped the show. But Titans tried some of that. The main difference is they let the characters have a sense of humor. There was a sense of fun. Watching Diego go out and do his crime fighting shtick was hilariously fun. Because, well, apparently, if he throws a knife at you, it is going to hit. That's his superpower. And because of that, he's so cocky that he's overconfident, which leads to humor. Funny stuff happening. And then the villains. The villains were just insanely funny, with obsessions about donuts and whatnot, and bird watching, and yeah. It's been so long since I've watched a show that's dark and grim and gritty that allowed itself to have a sense of humor so that it could be funny, like downright hilarious in parts, and yet still have that sense of gloom pervading through the entire thing. I can only hope the people of it over at DC watch Umbrella Academy and take notes, because it's everything that Titans was missing, even though it's the same plot. It is. And I'm not saying that to hit on either one. There's only so many ways you can accidentally on purpose bring about the apocalypse. So, that's not saying much, saying that it has the same plot. But, oh my goodness. It was fun. If you haven't watched Umbrella Academy, you should definitely check it out. If you read the comics, I don't even know if I care how close it was to the original, just because translating comics to television is such a difficult process, and it's harder than it would be for prose fiction, because prose fiction generally deals more with character and plot and conflict, whereas the visual nature of comics can sometimes short shrift some of that. And that's one of the things that when I watched some of the special features and some of the interviews that the creators of the comics did, that they were talking about, that they were very excited because with the show, they could do a lot more with characterization in the show than they could with the comic. So, I generally try not to hold a comic to the same standard, based on a comic show to the same standard that I do for a movie or a TV show based on it. But I'm kind of curious if you still liked it. But, coming into it, having some idea about the Umbrella Academy going in, I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and we'll talk a little bit more after the break. And we're back. Hi. Okay, so I mentioned that I wanted to talk about use of music. This is where Umbrella Academy could have gone terribly, horribly, catastrophically wrong. Because it kind of... I don't want to say it this way because it wasn't derivative in that way, but you know how Quentin Tarantino likes to put like really happy, bouncy music in the background while really horrific and horrible things are going on? This show kind of does that. And its choice for some of those songs, like, if I'm not wrong, didn't they use Leslie Gore's Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows during one of the most messed up fight scenes of the entire show? Which, as you all know, I'm a huge fan of Leslie Gore. I love Leslie Gore. And that could have gone so horribly wrong because that song is so over the top, jolly, happy, fun time that it could have bounced over into just ultra cartoony weirdness, disjointedness for what it was and what was happening at the time. But in the bizarre way that you find yourself not questioning the fact that there's a talking chimpanzee running around the house and a robot mom who's like 50s mom who needs a Xanax and all these other crazy things. Like, you just don't question that. Somehow they pulled that off as well. It's just, I hope that they don't... My biggest fear, and why I wanted to talk about it separately and spend some time on it, is like, I am concerned that for season 2, that's going to become more of a gimmick in this show, because they did pull it off. It did work. But it also worked because it was so surprising when it happened. I mean, you don't expect a happy, jolly, danceable teen, girl group. Well, Leslie Gore wasn't really in a girl group, but you know what I'm saying. That kind of, bubblegum pop from the 50s playing during a just fairly violent, the world is going to be ending. Death is on the horizon. I have to save the only person I've ever loved while engaging in horrific, extended violence. You don't expect those to go together. You really don't. And it was how surprising the moment was that made it work. Now, if they just decide, oh, well, we have another fight scene here, let's insert another 50s track under it, you know what I'm saying? That wouldn't work as well, because it would be expected by then. And there are a couple little tricks like that they did in season 1 that you can see how, if they're not careful, if the showrunner isn't careful, could just become weird tropes in season 2 and following. And I'm talking about it like it's already got a season 2. Netflix has yet to announce a season 2 yet, but since they canceled Jessica Jones and The Punisher, they don't have any of the Marvel shows left, and this is a superhero show that they have. So, and they did actually make them hand over the full plan for the series, even for the comics that won't come out for years. So they do know the full, beginning to end of the story. So, they at least intended to hopefully do a full, do the whole thing and get more than one season. Hopefully it will, because it was really good. But, I don't want them to rely on that. I also want to see some change in the characters, and I do expect to see some of that because, number one, now realizes that, he was kind of a chump for daddy. You know, I'm not going to go through the numbers very well, but the actress, well, she had her throat slit and can't really talk, and that's her superpower, so that's going to affect everything about her life. And number 5, well, is resetting everything because he thinks he might know a future pasty way of future pasting the apocalypse, so the future past of the apocalypse doesn't future past or something. Really curious what's going to happen with that. And I know their comics are out there, but like I said, I enjoyed the show. I don't know that I would enjoy the comics. If you're a real big fan of the comics, you can try to talk me into it, and you might be successful. I'm open to the idea. I'm just not ecstatic about it. I'm not running out to grab them. I rather enjoyed the acting. It was oddly grounded, I think is the word, for a show that is as hyperbolic as the show is, and a show that had the potential for all the melodrama. So much of the acting was very grounded in a sense of reality that, again, made you forget that you were dealing with a talking chimp and a robot mom and a dude who had his head grafted on a Martian ape's body and, stuff. So, yeah. It's a really hard show to talk about because, one, the timey-wiminess of it, which, again, is another aspect that it got right. I can't help but compare this show to Titans because while its timey-wiminess is literally timey-wiminess, it's jumping back and forth in time, and we're getting to see stuff in the past, in the future, and, from all over the place. Titans kept taking us to other characters in other places because it took way too long to get to the monkey and put people together. The Titans were not together for the vast majority of season 1, and that really hurt the show. And this series kind of put the proof to that. If we had met all of these characters completely separately, and we do, because we meet them before they go to the funeral, and we kind of see their process of getting there and what have you. So, they did that all by the end of season 1. By the end of, I'm sorry, not season 1, by the end of episode 1, everybody's together. And there you go. There you are. That's what had to happen. And the fact that Titans didn't do that is one of the things that made the series feel drawn out, because you're watching the Titans. You're not watching the Dick Grayson Raven lack of comedy hour, though that's what it felt like a lot for the opening episodes. I kind of hate the fact that I'm comparing it to Titans so hard, but I mean, they washed out the color in the same way. Like, visually, it felt like Titans. Like, if you told me that these two shows took place in the same cinematic universe, I would not be surprised, because visually, aesthetically, they do fit in that same kind of a world. But unlike DC Universe, who just didn't have the guts to go there, a lot probably because they didn't have the budget to go there. I don't think Warner Brothers gave them the funding to go there. I mean, Pogo could not have been cheap to put in the episodes that he was in, because, I mean, he's so well rendered, you forget that, there's not really a talking chimpanzee running around with them. And that says a lot for a TV show. I mean, I've been amazed at the level of special effects on Star Trek Discovery, because they've been putting the money in, with the exception of one episode that shall not be named. You can go back and see my episode reviews, because I talked about it when it happened. But with the exception of one episode that didn't quite, live up to the mark, they've been doing a really good job of getting, the special effects to look good. And Well, I'm not going to say that Netflix hasn't. This show went above and beyond. And it actually, in a weird way, Umbrella Academy makes me so excited for the live action Avatar The Last Airbender show that they're doing. Because the one thing that worried me the most was the special effects. And would Netflix put enough money into it to make them look good? Would they be able to pull it off on a Netflix budget? Dude, if you can have a walking, talking chimpanzee as part of your show and make them feel like an actual character that should be there, you can do airbending. And so, more than anything, like, as much as I enjoyed the show, and I highly recommend that if you like this kind of thing, you should definitely watch it. But, it gave me more confidence in Netflix being able to pull off weird and wacky shows, and shows with intense special effects being necessary. Because the fight at the end with Vanya was phenomenal. It was just beautiful. And honestly, I didn't have faith in them to be able to pull off that kind of thing in a live action feature. I just didn't. And maybe that's on me. But actually, I think it's because I watched Okja. And yeah, I watched that. And that kind of took down my expectations a bit. But I don't know. All in all, it was a great show. Really enjoyed it. I hope they have a season 2. I hope season 2 is as good, if not better, than season 1. And I'm surprised that I haven't seen more people talking about it. I mean, I've seen some here, there, and yonder. I'm hoping that we're not in a place where we've been with a few studios and whatnot, where people are just kind of deciding to just be nasty for nasty's sake. Like, I've noticed a lot of people who said very, let's say, positive things about Stranger Things season 1 and season 2 start to badmouth season 2 now because that's the cool thing to do and that's what all the cool kids are doing, and not looking forward to season 3. Because meta-narratives are a thing that I try to stay out of if at all possible. See my Crimes of Grindelwald episode for an example of that. But all in all, good show. I am really curious where it's going. And Gerard Way made me like a song that he did. And yeah, again, cheating. It was Hazy Shades of Winter, and that's just a great song. But still, found a way to make me like him. Good on ya. Good on ya. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's a lot of things that I wanted to say, and we may revisit Umbrella Academy on a future episode. If you did like this, if you did like what okay, I just can't talk today. If you liked what you heard, even though that it was completely incoherent, and I have apparently lost my ability to speak the English, please, if the app that you're listening to me on allows you to rate either the podcast or the episode, please do so. That helps out a lot. That tells the algorithm to share me with more people. If you've got $1 you can throw my way, you can look in the show notes and you'll see a link that says Anchor Community Support. If you click that, you can join the project at the $1, $5, or $10 levels. That money helps out a lot, especially now with all the crazy going on. We've been running some ads, trying to grow the podcast. You helped me get this wonderful mic. Thank you for that. You helped me get the software that I'm using. You know, all the things that you all do, because between the Patreon, the ads, and this, you guys help out a lot. And thank you. Thank you so much. If you don't have any money, or don't feel like giving, that's okay. Trust me, I know what that feels like. I really do. What you could do is, share the podcast with somebody that you think would like it. That helps out a lot as well. Or if you really want to make my day, whether you are a member of the project or not, if you go over to anchor.fm, download the Anchor app, follow Project Shadow over there, you'll see a button that says voice message. You can leave me up to a 1-minute voice message. It can be a question, a comment, or a topic you'd like to hear me discuss on the show. I used to get more of those. I would love to get more. I'd love to be able to make this more of a community project. So thank you all so very much. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm C. Dorson on Twitter. You can join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/Project Shadow and try to get something started over there. You can find links to everything that I do over at projectshadow.com. And until next time, don't forget, have the fun. Bye.